So I just showed you how you can create closed shapes in Illustrator with the pen tool. There's also another way you can do it, and that's by using the shape tools. And so you have a lot of options for this. And actually, let's talk about the line tool first. Let's talk about the line tool. So here's the line tool. The line tool has some basic ones, the straight line, the arc tool, and the spiral tool. And then it's got a couple other tools that I'm just not going to cover in this class, so we won't talk about those. But let's talk about the line tool. It also, you just have to, you click and drag to make a straight line. If you hold down the shift button, it will either be perpendicular or at a 45-degree angle. You can see it just pops. I'm holding down the shift key right now. Okay, so that's one thing. If you are drawing one and you hold down the space key, you can actually move it around as you're drawing it. Right? So if I'm like, oh, I want that connected to the other one, I can actually drag that up now and do it like that. It's actually not technically connected, but it's right next to it. So that's kind of a cool thing you can do. And then you can also, if you're like, I really like the length and the angle of that line, and I want to be able to duplicate it later, so I want to know the dimensions. If I click again, just click the board, this options dialog box shows up, and it's telling me and you can see this is still selected. It's telling me the length of it and what angle it's on. So I can jot those down if I want to recreate this line some other time, which doesn't sound like you would, but trust me, there'll be a time where you're going to need to do something like that. And so all you have to do is whatever you just drew that you like, click on the artboard once without dragging or doing anything else, and this options box will show up. And this happens with the shape tools also. Okay, you can also do fancy strokes, and so I'm going to show you how to do that. So I have, let's do a new line. Here's a new line. Actually, yeah. So I just drew that line, and then I went over here and I opened up the stroke panel, which is this one right here, and I clicked the dashed line. So what you see here is a perfectly even dashed line. In fact, let me make it bigger so you can see it better. Alright, so there it is. Very average dashed line. What you see here over here in the stroke panel is you'll see how you can format that dashed line. So right now it just has 12-point dashes, period, and just kind of an average gap. Well, you can change the gap to be smaller or bigger. So you can change that. So let's just see how that looks. Ooh, look at that. I made the gap much smaller. But let's make the dashes different sizes. They're all right now, they're all 12-point, but maybe we want the big dashes and small dashes. So I'm going to make every other dash 6-point. Ooh, looky there. It's kind of getting weird. And then I can make the next dash or gap different. So let's do an 8-point gap. Alright, and a 3-point dash. You can just do a lot of different things with this. It's very cool. You can put arrows on the beginning or end of your dash. Ooh, look at there, and you can tell it, you know, how big you want it to be. Oh, I don't want it to be that big. Oh, that's actually much bigger. That's so small I can't see it. Let's see. Let's do. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty cool. Right? You can, up here in this top part, we talked about this in the thing, in the module, figure out what the caps are. So you can have a butt cap, which is what it is now, or you can have a round cap. So you can't really tell because they're so big, but they're still dashes. They're just so rounded. You can't see it. Let's see if I turn it down. Yeah, you still can't see very well. And then, or you could have squared off. And these are all just so close together, you can't really tell. Alright, so another thing you can do with the stroke panel is if you have, let me draw another thing here. I'm going to take the dash off. I just want it to be a line. And then I'm going to do another line here, connected. Now you can see, actually these are two separate lines. Here, let me use the pen tool if I do this. Whoops, I picked the wrong one. Hold on here. There we go. So I have a pen, I have two lines. Alright, so this one, this has a miter. Do you remember I talked about miter? So that's how they meet. You can change how that works. Alright, so these are mitered together. It's a nice miter. You see it's perfectly aligned. Or you can have a rounded, so that you can see the corner is rounded, or you can have a beveled, which you can't really tell, but it's a little flat right there. So those are some things you can do with lines. You can also create spirals. You can do all kinds of stuff with that. And then you can use the shape tool. Basically the same way. You can pick the shape and just drag it. You can constrain it by holding down the Shift key. You can take those lines you have in the in your box and you can make them dashed, right? I'm going to empty all these out really quickly so you can actually see it. Oops, I don't know why that's not showing up right. It should be. There we go. And then we can also use this exact and adjusted corner. So right now it's exact. And you can see the corners all look a little bit different as far as what the dash is. But if I go click on the adjust corners, now it's all parallel and looks pretty cool actually. And you can change the color of the stroke and maybe the weight. We'll make it a little not so bold. Look, there you go. Easy way to make squares and shapes to highlight stuff. So that's how you do that. And you can do that with any of these shapes right here.